Hey everybody, so up here. Today's something a little bit different than the standard board game that I've been normally recording. Today we're going to be looking at Atma, a role-playing card game. So it's a card-driven, narrative-driven RPG created by Meromorph Games. In this recording, you're going to hear myself and another player. I will be the player, and the other person will be the game master, playing through a full play session of Atma. So it does run about 2 hours. I've broken up into chapters, hopefully, and things will kind of play out. At the end, we'll also have a quick discussion about it. When we're playing Atma, the big things are that we're not trying to win or lose a scenario. It's really about building a story, and so I'll describe my actions, and the GM will describe the actions of the world. What's really great about it is that things are driven by story logic, not really by dice mechanics. You do have to do rolls on things that have chances of failing, but things that are impossible will automatically fail. Things that are always going to happen, you don't need to roll for it, just we assume it's going to happen. The GM doesn't have to plan this in advance. They can just deal out some cards and kind of play as they go. That's usually how we played it. This time here, the GM has chosen to prep a little bit, especially in the first act. So building out the world and kind of getting some plans. And what's also nice is that we're really playing the story together. We're talking about things, asking for feedback, and we're building the world as we go. I should point out that we don't play it perfectly, and how our group plays may not be how your group may choose to play this game. The publisher has created their own web-based service to play this game on. We played via their service using Discord to talk. So there's a number of backdrops you can select when playing the game. We chose to play in Tipper City in this game. Once you pick a backdrop or a place for the game to take place, you can either deal randomly or select one story goal. And in this one we played Follow the Triptych. And we have a goal that we are trying to meet by the end of scene 3, or by the end of the final act. And then these scenes, again, you can choose them or deal them randomly. And 3 of these scenes are picked for a game. And as you go through each scene, the characters playing the game will level up. I'll show you how that works in a moment. And the idea is that by the time you hit the 3rd scene, that we have completed the goal of the story. So that's on the GM side, and that's all card-driven again, and they have lots of different items and characters and extras and things that they can throw in for the players to interact with. On the player side, there's a number of characters they can select. In this case, I chose to play Indra. Indra will have a deck of cards, and from this, you pick, or randomly, in our case, this was all random, 2 basic moves. You start with one of them flipped up that give you your abilities, and then after you complete each scene, you're going to flip over the next one so that your character is leveling up or growing as the story unfolds. So you'll have 2 of these, and in your final act, you will have access to one of these super moves, which are much stronger. What's great about these cards is that on the back, they have story text to kind of give background text to the character. We were partially beholden to it. We partially created our own, and that's great for when you're introducing characters to this game, that you can have people who maybe not very comfortable with playing an RPG, so they will have all this text. They can just read it. They could even read it to the group, and they can be very beholden to all those different parts of that character. Alternatively, if you want to play a little more free, you can take parts of the ideas of the story that is presented to you, and choose the parts that interest you and play the character that way. So again, it's your game, your system. Use it how you wish, but it can be very, very detailed, and it can be very, very focused on that, or you can choose to branch off. And depending on which of these cards you get, your character is only going to have a certain portion of their background available to the player to understand or know, so that really lets you fill in all the different gaps in any way you'd like to, and it's a great little system. So once the GM has picked the backdrop to play in, they will start the game, and it's encouraged for the GM to read this aloud. And this is really where the whole world of the story is built around, so you have a kind of idea of what this world is in general. And so the GM would read this. We didn't read it in our playthrough that's recorded, so I'm going to read it for you now. Welcome to a world near our own. History changed with the discovery of Atma, a volcanic mineral that empowers the living and entwines the dying. Machines have since evolved true artificial intelligence, though they remain shackled to specific routines. While Earth's many satellite moons have cracked open to reveal us an inquisitive alien race. Nations have contracted in these turbulent times, and the result is a tenuous peace across the map. It is in the restless zones, the cracks in the maps between nations, where trouble stirs. Those who dwell here can rely on no one for aid, except you. You are a skilled adventurer ready to test your limits against the world's dangerous frontiers, and you won't be alone. Other heroes have answered the call. Learn to depend on each other and your creativity in the face of the unknown. The sky is getting darker. And at this point, I will leave you and I will let you enjoy watching our playthrough. If you have any comments, feel free to drop them in. Again, not everything is perfectly beholden to the rules, I'm sure, and we did make our own choices. And again, just like any RPG play, that may work for your group and how you move forward through a system. And we enjoyed our time, so please enjoy.
You've talked about the basis of the world, that humanity was very blessed and cursed to discover the wonderful new power source and source of confusion, which is Atma. We know that it is magma from deep down within the planet. But hey, guess what? It also turns out that it holds all the souls of the dead. Way I see it is, it's basically like we always imagined Hades or hell below the Earth's surface. So that's kind of true. It is a kind of hot, terrible place you go when you die. But it's a little more real than that. It's a physical source. But it turns out it also is a very convenient way to generate power, which is wonderful. It also is home to the type of organisms and chemical radiation that generate superpowers in people, which is pretty darn awesome. So for today, we're going to be going to Tipper City. It is in the Free Territories. Tipper City was the northern fishing and mining town until not one, but 3 beings fell from orbit. The Titans, Ogremesh and Veniblis, and the Firefly, an AI satellite known as the Triptych. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, Triptych. Yep.
Triptych. They took over the city and then created conclaves of troops to enforce their rule. A year ago, Veniblis was killed by his compatriots, starting a cold war of escalation between the Firefly and Ogremesh. The city's population will suffer if the conflict with the Triptych is not stopped. And so obviously we're looking at the fall of the Triptych. The alien fallen satellites aren't as bad. Citizens have adapted nicely. Only the Triptych members could play nicely with one another. So instead, they scheme and they backstab endlessly. Someone, Ogremesh, maybe the Firefly, a third party, has had enough with the games and has called you to end the war. Destroy a member of the Triptych and erase their influence, so that Triptych City can finally thrive under a single, semi-benevolent overlord. And it's saying that the goal is to defeat either a proxy or a member of the Triptych. You can also sway someone to your side and maybe cause peace. We will see what happens.
So the Triptych is really made up of Ogremesh, Velnubis, and the Firefly. And the Firefly is an AI satellite, and then there's the 2 Titans, right?
That's right.
And then Velnubis was killed. So really, right now, we just have Ogremesh and the Firefly, basically, as the 2 members that are left of the Triptych.
Yes, and there are still the remaining armies and enclaves of Valnubis still functioning within the city, of course, now without a leader and essentially no one to support them, but they still exist within the city.
And nature abhors a vacuum. Let's see how that gets filled.
There you go, exactly.
Okay, and I'm assuming at some point then it'll become clear if I'm supposed to destroy one of the remaining members of the Triptych or some other proxy, and I will. Right, I assume that you're not going to tell me who that is off the bat. This is going to be a story-driven discovery, or are you?
If you want to talk about your character, at least what you think about your character. Yeah.
Sure. But yeah, so you're not going to tell me what's going on and who to defeat, right? It'll be something I have to discover. The goal. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to be playing Indra the Traveler, who I see is kind of like a low-budget, non-alien Doctor Who. And I've got a power of Rift Walk, which is an alien power that lets me teleport from different place to place. And what I find fascinating is I'm wearing this little mask. I'm not sure yet exactly why I have it, but I'm hoping that might be something that we discover through the story, or I'll kind of build on as I build out the character. And I have watches for like every time zone. I always want to know what time it is, and because I can always like teleport, and I've been teleported incidentally or when I've been unconscious. So having watches for all these time zones will help me kind of figure out like where I am and when I am, maybe.
So I took the character, considering that they're carrying a couple of components of alien titans on them, and I'm guessing that you know the aliens or have met with the titans a couple of times. Could you tell me anything about that?
I've been trying to figure out how much I really know about the Titans. I'm very aware at this point that some of my power comes from being close to some of their technology and design. In fact, I believe. Do I know? Yeah. So in fact, so one of the Titans that I've had some unfortunate interactions with. I feel that they're unfortunate. I just really want to be left alone. But the Titan Vestat, he seems to be almost like following my trail as I teleport from place to place. He's made some comments to me over time that I'm like punching holes in the universe, and that this is like a disruption and it needs to be stopped. I don't see any evidence of that, and I kind of think that he wants something from me and he's trying to manipulate me. So I know that Vestat might show up on occasion, and for the most part, we have this kind of antagonistic, like a Cold War antagonism that goes on between the two of us, where he'll warn me and try to stop me, but like not to a point where it's a real challenge. And I'm frustrated by him, but indifferent enough that I really don't want to get involved, and I kind of just like more like wave him off. Though he has informed me that the reason I have this rift walking, or my understanding of why I have it, is because of where I grew up, living near this like closed gate to the Aspire Singularity. So because of that, it's kind of like almost mutated me in a way. There's rumors that like living near these things like corrupt you. I don't see it as corruption. I just see it like I've got a cool power.
It's fun to imagine what your character thought of when he developed this cool power. Did he develop it at a really young age, or is it something that he came to when he was a little bit older? How old is your character?
So my character, he's relatively young. Like I'm in. I guess I'd settle. I'd say probably like 19. Like I'm old enough now where I think I know what's going on, but not old enough to realize that I actually really don't have much clue of anything. I very much enjoy people being around people that are older than me. I find that they are always trying to like push me around. I feel like almost like almost like this is like really personified in the what is the name of the Titan that's been bothering me? Vestat. So I feel like, he's this older being that's kind of like pushing and forcing me down these roads. I feel that way about most people that are older than me as well. So yeah, so when I get the powers, I feel like they didn't start really young. I feel like in retrospect, I realized, my like hitting like 13 or 14, like I realized that there's like these jumps in time, like I'd be wandering down the street and suddenly I'd be like further ahead than I realized I was. I thought I was just kind of like daydreaming or dozing off, but it's become clear in retrospect that I was actually like teleporting. No one really noticed at first. I was a little bit of a loner, but it really became really, really present, very, very noticeable to me. Looking for a card here. Kind of as I got into be like 16 or 17, I'd got myself into kind of a bad spot, and and I realized like I could use this teleportation to like help me out. And it became very clear. And the defining moment was I was running away from the police for a reason that's not important in my opinion. And I tripped and I fell, and that next thing I remember, I thought I was like jumping over a fence in an alley. And next thing I remember, like I'm out in this field, and that's when I kind of realized like, oh, I can move, like I can teleport myself. And from then on, I've been using it all the time, as much as I possibly can, without getting too much notice.
I think using your powers carefully is always a very good thing to do, especially when people tend to kind of be a little afraid of people whose power has been generated by all that has gone on. I mean, the humans and the AI workers are pretty straightforward. They tend to just perform their tasks, but people like you are exceptional and above the rules. And especially the crime organizations might be very interested in that kind of person, and people in law enforcement are also very interested in you, but probably for the same reasons or similar reasons that the crime side of things is. So we're going to take a look at our first place we're going, which is the Royalty Iron Garage and Ironworks. Sparks and arc welders illuminate this old aircraft hangar as outdoor silos brim with ore. Human and AI workers take pride in their craft and ignore the Triptych politics. A hidden cellar serves as a smuggling outpost, a distillery, and a dive bar. So you're in an area of town that is not its original purpose. It's certainly been some of it has been repurposed and reused. There is lots of things around to see within the garage and the ironworks. I can tell you a couple of the businesses that might be here, and you can tell me what you might be interested in. Right now, you're near the dive bar. The dive bar's name is Hargle and Yargles, Bargles and Snargles.
And I'm sure that the locals have like a short form name for that.
Yeah, it's called Hibs.
Hibs. Okay.
HYBS. Hargle and Yargles, Bargles and Snargles. Anyway, so it turns out that it's quite the interesting place. It is a multi-leveled little area where a bar connected by several stairways overviews a giant metal cage, which is used for what else? A fight arena. Different people can come in and test their might against those who would also go in. There's betting, illegal gambling, all that kind of fun. There is a small bookstore off on the other side of the road. You'd think it was a little strange. It seems a little bit quiet in there right now. What else do you see? Do you see anything else around this area?
So I feel like I've been here before. I feel like this is not the nicest part of town, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I've noticed like a lot of the shops are closed up. There's people moving around, but either they look like they like have like a purpose, like a place to go, or they have no place to go, and they kind of like this is just a place they they live in the alleys and the streets. I feel like I'm surprised that the bookstore is still open. Like I don't see enough clients in the area or people who would be potential clients in my own mind. There's a small like mechanic down the street. There's probably like a hot dog cart, a falafel cart, but I feel like a lot of it's like, to me at least from where I'm standing right now, a lot of it's like closed down. Things that aren't closed down probably don't interest me enough to really pay attention to them.
The only real noise I think you hear is coming from the bar, where it seems like it seems like a lot of people are getting pretty excited about something in there. I didn't mention the bookstore's name is Krark's Thumb. It just has those words Krark, thumb, above the door. The windows seem pretty covered, but there's clearly hastily drawn and poorly drawn pictures of books on the outside. It looks pretty straightforward. Again, there's not a lot of traffic in there. The mechanic shop is Harold's hard hats and hammers. They're definitely more industrial than anything else. And as you're looking around, I mean, we know it's a little bit late. How late do you think it's gotten to be at this point?
I mean, it's dusk, for sure. I actually look at one of my watches, and I see like, oh yeah, 7:43, right on the dot, and of course it's 6:43. In just a city over, because we're kind of close to a time zone change.
All right. So what do you think you want to do?
The bookstore I've never really noticed or had time to really pay attention to, and I'm almost tempted to just completely ignore it. I hear the noise from Hargles and Yargles, Bargles and Stargles, and I know that's the reason I came down here really. But this bookstore, like, it's first time I've really noticed it, like the way the light or like the street lights are kind of hitting it. Like I noticed that the hastily painted on books, it seems odd. Like you go to all the effort of making a bookstore in a weird part of town, and you probably like it's got to be your dream job or passion to be putting that together, and then like you like lazily painted books on the window. So before I go over to Hargles, Yargles, Bargles, and Stargles, I feel best that I'm gonna go walk over. I'm gonna like peer into the window of the bookstore.
All right. So as you're walking up to the front of the bookstore, obviously you notice that the paint on the windows has kind of obscured what is inside. And as you look at it, there's definitely books in there. You're 100% sure of that. I think you need to open the door if you wanted to see inside. Or you could maybe take a fingernail and scratch at some of the paint and see if you can open up a little hole there.
So that's what I was going to say. Like, this is paint on the outside?
Yeah, it has totally been painted so that perhaps the art is less important than the covering that it's providing.
This seems shadier and shadier, I'm not going to lie to you.
It wasn't meant to be, but it's getting that way now.
All right, so I fish into my giant cargo pockets, and I pull out like a small little knife, little Swiss Army knife, because you always got to be prepared. And I'm like kind of trying not to. I've had years of practicing of doing things that are not legal, but I also like it look like I'm just hanging out, and so like I'm scratching away at the paint as I kind of like look around, pretending that I'm like checking out my phone and my bazillion watches, tapping on the screen once in a while, even though it's analog, and pretending it's a digital like smartwatch. And as I kind of like scratch the paint away. Is this?
Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So I'm scratching away, and I think I've got enough space that I can kind of like peer in now. So I kind of bend down, I slide my mask back, so I get a good view, and I kind of look inside.
All right, so you look inside this store, and so inside is a very surprisingly well-lit bookstore. Here's the thing. The front door appears to be unlocked. Windows are covered. The only thing noticeable is the very bright light that's shining down on what is obviously a cashier's counter. The only thing sitting on the cashier's counter is a fishbowl filled with water. You can't see anyone else, and you can't really hear anything else. But that might be more because of Hibbs next door or across the street being pretty noisy right now.
I know that these quaint little bookstores always have to have a little bell above the door, and I really don't feel like ringing the bell. So I am going to teleport into the bookstore, and I want to teleport right behind. Security cameras are probably facing the cash register. Is there any like darker area of the bookstore that I can kind of see the cash register from, but like would be like maybe partly in shadow? Like if it's that dark in there, just like a big light on the cashier or on the cash register.
They, yeah, so most of the light in the room is centered around the cash register. There are clearly areas which look not only not particularly well lit, but not particularly touched recently. You're not sure if it's because of the bookstore or if it's because of the location there of the bookstore. But there's certainly a dark corner right almost near on the other side of the glass. You almost could, if you just popped in on the other side of the glass, just to the right of that bookshelf, you could be standing in almost complete obscurity from the counter.
Okay, well in that case, I prepare my teleportation. I slide my mask down. I always have my mask down before I teleport. So like it's kind of like my safety blanket or good luck kind of charm or little tradition I always do. And I nightcrawler bamf into the darkest corner, which I guess is right next to the window. And it's probably like the poetry section or some spot that it doesn't get a lot of visitors.
The first thing you see as you open your eyes is several hardcover books that say "The Way to a Man's Heart" and "Dealing with Loss." Those are the kind of the two shelves that are like right in front of your face as you pop into existence in here. Do you make a lot of noise when you appear, or is it a really totally silent? Is it just you just are there all of
Well,
a
I
sudden?
want it to be silent, but I feel like realistically, it's probably like it's not really a noise per se, but like it's kind of like a little static discharge. It's not like a lightning strike or like like a boom of thunder, but um, there's kind of this like
Maybe the lights dim for a second.
yeah, maybe like so like smaller electronic devices might be like slightly bothered by the static, or like if a cat's nearby, like their hair will like kind of like raise towards it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, but it's more, there's some light that comes from like these like red, like magma like cracks that I kind of just like come through like when I teleport. But
Oh yeah.
cast a little bit of
Okay.
light, and there's like a tiny bit of kind of like I don't know, like an earthly kind of like humming noise. It kind of like ends immediately. So it kind of like here's like a little bit of like a hum, and like that hum like ends like mid hum as I like finally step fully through. How about that? That's what I like.
Okay. All right.
With a
All
bit of
right. So
static
there's a hum,
discharge.
a discharge, a little bit of red light, popping into existence inside this room. So the first thing you're going to notice is that nothing happens, and it is eerily silent in this room. And you hear, I don't know, a little bit of a splash. Maybe. I mean, there was a dish sitting right there on the counter. But do you poke your head to look at it, or do you maybe sneak away
I'm
before anything
I'm
happens?
expecting the Russian fish from American Dad. And so what I'm feeling like instead is I want to get like really low and I want to like sneak through these books and I want to see if there's like an antique book section that's something I can like borrow without returning.
if if you look around, what titles do you think you see? What do you see on those shelves?
Okay, well, I know that nothing in the self-help section is going to be worth anything. So I sneak past there and I feel like these books they look old, but then when I like get closer to them, I realize like they're not like antique old or valuable old. They're more like 25-cent books from the discharge from the library kind of old. And I'm just seeing like like Harlequin romance section, and like boxcar children's section, and like Hardy Boys for like page like shelves and shelves and shelves. And I'm starting to think maybe like there's not a whole lot here, but I'm gonna keep going a little bit deeper.
So as you peek around and you continue moving through the store, very careful to stay out of line. You notice that it seems like this store is smaller than what it's supposed to be. Like,
It's
just a little bit.
the opposite of the TARDIS.
It is the opposite of the TARDIS. That you walked into a large building, and this is a small room, and that seemed a little odd.
Yeah, I feel like I've been to enough places through my years of petty crime to know that this usually means there's some kind of like back room, something going on. Like the fact is like no customers, there's a bookstore in a weird area of town, and I'm now realizing that like this store should go further back than it does. So now I'm looking for. I'm going to search. Do I have a search stat? I would like to look around and see if I can like discover like is there a door in the back here or is there a hidden door? Like there's got to be something around here. And again, I'm trying to avoid Russian fish in the fish bowl.
All right. I'll I guess give me a bright roll, maybe.
Barely a success.
Barely a success. All right. Tell me what you do then.
All right. So I've succeeded. I've noticed that like there is, and I feel like it's barely a success. So realistically, it's not like a super hidden door with like a little like trigger that like slides back a bookcase. But I noticed like there's like a metal shelving rack full of books like you'd see at like a used bookstore, and it's on wheels and there's a bunch of books on it. But I noticed that like I'm just gonna slide that out of the way and I see that like there's a door jamb behind it and there's a door back there. So I move the rack out of the way and I check out this door and I hope it's unlocked. I grab the doorknob.
All right, you grab the doorknob. So the bookcase itself has moved out of the way very easily. This door doesn't seem really interested in moving. You're looking around for a control panel. You're looking around for something. It doesn't pop out to you right away. You've done good enough that you can kind of figure out that for sure this is a magnetically sealed door. And it's definitely connected to a switch somewhere. You could try overriding it. Or, maybe you can see the switch. I'm not sure if you can see the switch from where you're standing.
But I feel
what do you think you'd want to try?
You're gonna hate this. I am going to, and hey, this is your DM call, but I'm gonna try charging up before I teleport, and I'm gonna see if I can literally teleport this door with me, and I'm gonna teleport the door with me to the front of the store.
Okay. You grab a hold of this door and you roll hasty. Tell me what happens.
You're gonna let me do this? Perfect.
Absolutely. This is pretty interesting. All right. We're still rolling through the successes. So you grip your hands on this door, and where are you aiming? Like you said, I'm going to bring it to the front of the store, but again, this store's pretty small. Where's this door going to land when you're done with
It's gonna land. I'm hoping that I can lean it when I bamf away. I'm hoping that I can lean it against the that first section of books I looked at, like the self-help kind of, like, I don't know, whatever that series of books were.
Okay, yeah. The self-help.
I'm gonna call it. Yeah, they sound self-helpy.
Dealing with grief and how to talk to your spouse and things like that.
Yeah, that's where I aim this door.
All right. So you pop this door out of existence, and you are standing now in the dark corner again. essentially moved nowhere, and you're now carrying this giant door. You look back, you can see past the desk, down the darker side of the store, and there's just a hallway. It's quiet. Again, there's no sound in the store. Except maybe the odd splash out front. No one really noticed anything. There's no sign of an alarm going off. What do you do?
How far down this hallway can I see?
You can't see very far. I'm going to say you can probably see from the start of the hallway at the back of the store. You can probably see 7 or 8 feet. And the hallway takes an immediate sharp turn, and it's just a silver wall in front of you.
You know what? I'm going to sneak by this fishbowl thing. Though at this point I realize, like, if I'm on camera, I've been seen at this point. I'm sure the camera pointed at this door.
Do you look at the fishbowl, or do you focus on trying to sneak by it?
You know, I'm just gonna walk by it like I own the place now. At this point, I'm gonna just beeline it.
That's perfectly fine.
For the door.
You decide to walk by this thing. If you had decided to look at the fishbowl, it might have made you roll a stealth, a slide. But you didn't look at it, so you're on a mission. What are you hoping for down here? What do you think's down here?
At this point, it's just a curiosity thing. Like, I know I'm supposed to be somewhere. I look at my watch, and I know I'm supposed to be at Hargle, Yargles, Bargles, and Snargles by like 8:30. But at this point, like, I got time. I could teleport. Time does not feel like overly pressing to me. So I'm really this is a curiosity thing. This is like, I've been here before. Why haven't I noticed this? And this is a strange place. And maybe there's money involved.
Fair enough. You stroll past, you go down to the end of this corridor, you see the bend. I assume you kind of lean just out a little bit, lean a little bit. And maybe I'll move my mask. You lift your mask up to look, because of course it's dark back here. We haven't really seen a source of light in this area. And what you see surprises you.
What do I see?
And what you see is... figure out how to press this button. There we go. You see 3... down in this basement, there's down some stairs, sorry, there is a small light on where you see 3 mecha peacekeeper bots. You know these guys, or you know the ones just like them. They wander the streets, they keep the snow off the roads, they clean up debris from anything that's happened. They are controlled and influenced by the Firefly, and they're pretty simple. They don't get into a lot of fights. And you see them down in this lower garage, which must have a secret access port somewhere else. And they're all sitting around enjoying each other's company, or at least you would have to assume they're enjoying each other's company, because they're just sitting quietly staring at a monitor in the corner, of which you can hear riotous noise on the other side.
Great. I should ask, from a mechanics perspective, are you able to make 3 of these?
They are 3 1-wound models.
Okay.
You can get a discount by reducing their health points. So instead of having a single 3-hearted model, I've decided that I'm going to say that there are 3 1-wound models. Does that make sense?
Yep. No, for sure.
Understand?
Yep. Not that I really need to know that, but
no, that's fine.
Trying.
I'm not trying to put an adversary in your way. Let me put it to you that way. As it stands,
well, I mean, they're on their last legs. They've probably been refurbished a couple of times at this point. I feel I don't feel overly threatened.
And you'll notice as you're looking at them, even looking at kind of their sides and their backs in relation to where you can see them from the top of the stairs, these guys are the robot equivalent of tatted up. They bear the Firefly logo in bright orange all over their body. And you know that, of course, the Firefly is in charge of all of these AI constructs, and she has influence over them and to help quell unrest within the city. but you probably don't drive around the city covered in logos. It opens up an opportunity to maybe have someone make an example out of you. So these guys are clearly, they clearly have picked their side, and they're not afraid to say it. But also, like you said, by the look of them, they're scraps being held together by wishes and prayers, or whatever the AI equivalent of well wishes and prayers are.
Seeing them and seeing that they're like busy focusing on the monitor, I feel like I walk up to them, kind of like I belong there, and I'm just gonna like slide up near them and like peer at the monitor, and yeah, I just want to slide up. I want to look at the monitor, just like standing next to them. I just want to see what happens.
They don't react in any meaningful way. They're really focused right now.
What's on the monitor?
What's on the monitor? On the monitor, you can actually see a fight. And now that you're down here and you can hear these noises coming from the monitor. It was a bit quiet before. You've gotten quite close now. You're pretty sure that you're actually watching the fight that's across the street. But I think you get the idea that these guys couldn't go over to hips. They not only would they stand out, but they'd probably end up starting a fight. And none of them look like they're up for a hefty war right now. But what's weird is that you're watching this fight through the eyes of one of the competitors in the arena.
I point at the screen and be like, "Ah, the Hibs fight, eh?"
Obviously, these AI are surprised by you. They are definitely unaware that you were sneaking up on them. They immediately leap up, and in what you would assume at first is probably some kind of self-defense attack posture, and they are just, "How did you get in here?"
I completely ignore their question, and instead I say like, "Who's your money on? Who we cheering for tonight?"
So two of them were really startled by your entrance. One of them has focused entirely on the screen, and his buddy yells at you. He kind of shakes a little bit, rocks from side to side on his suspension, and he's still watching. You ask, "Who's your money on?" And he's like, he's clearly one of the more injured models, of course, and he says, "All my money's on the Wreck Titan." And as you look at the screen, you realize that not only are you watching this fight, you're actually watching it from the perspective of former War Titan. The arms outstretched with cannons, non-operational, clearly having been used as more bludgeoning weapons, as it stares down its foe, which appears to be an enormous Titan, alien Titan, who is similarly not in the best conditions, and it looks like they're just having a go of it. These guys are not technical fighters. There is no highfalutin way of winning these fights. They are smashing each other to pieces. For every chunk of metal that flies off of the human War Titan or AI War Titan, chunks of moon rock shell fragment break off of its opponent. It is quite a spectacle to see from first person, because certainly that's not what you would see from anywhere else. These guys have the most front row seat. And the two who were pretty wound up when you walked in realize that they are missing the fight. And they turn around as a small mechanical arm raises up a little object. It's a power cell, clearly, and it's being held up by the one who was focused on the television. And the AIs and the mechs in this city, they're feeling it pretty rough. I mean, it's been a while since they have had new equipment. Most of their storage and repair facilities have been taken down, and you can see that the power cell this thing waves in its hand is shining and bright, enough power for a lifetime. And clearly, they've pooled all their money, and the winner of this fight is going to be getting this power cell. What do you do?
I kind of give them like a roguish little grin, which my mask I've pulled back down. By the way,
That's fair.
yeah, I like to have it. It's kind of like my own little shield. So they can't see the roguish grin, but I give it to them anyway. And I'm like, this is a primo broadcast you got yourselves hooked up with. Just one power cell is all you got riding on this fight? That's everything you got? And I reach into my cargo pants pockets and I dig around and I pull out some kind of chip processing unit. Hopefully, I'll let you decide if and then I like slap it down on top of the television and be like, all right, I'll see that bet.
All right. So the bot who has been focused on the screen has not turned to look at you. Does lift his sensors very slowly and observes what you have put down, and turns to one of his compatriots just slightly and says, "Move over. New bets in the house." And you see the we'll call them the boys because I haven't named them all. It doesn't seem necessary. Scooch over to the side, and I'm not going to say that they have any chairs because they probably never have. These guys have been hiding down here for a long time. They're giant mechanical machines. They don't really have need of chairs. But let's say he offers you a track to sit on to watch the show. He says in his very growly voice, "So, current bet says War Titan takes out the alien junk in 3 rounds. This dunderhead said 7 rounds. And this moron might as well go home, because he only said 2, and this is round 3.
Oh,
Like man, you can see, these guys are pummeling hard.
This is a complicated bet. So they're all betting on the ore processing thing, and no one is betting on the alien?
Exactly. They have decided that there's no way that their fellow AI brother could lose. And as you can see, he is fighting hard, but there is chunks of metal disappearing from the edges of this camera's view just as fast as chunks of white shell are exploding off of his alien opponent. Give me a roll. Give me an idea check to see if you notice something.
Idea check, eh? What stat's that? Sorry, I haven't pulled it up.
A bright. Do a bright roll.
Do a bright roll. That's what I'm adequate at. Not good, not bad.
All right, you fail. Well, I guess you don't necessarily fail. I'll take the +1 and I'll give you something. You understand robot physiology. You understand some of alien physiology. You've seen the Titans battling before. You've deked them out. Neither one of these guys is hurting each other. That's not what this fight is about. There's been a couple of people who think this is real, but there's a show going on, and those chunks of metal flying off this war brother, as they referred to him, they're extra scraps that were nailed to his exterior for more for the show.
All right, so I'm well aware that this is like a WWE kind of event. And I've always enjoyed these simply for like the soap opera-ness of them. And I'm realizing that clearly not everybody has this like deep insight that I do into how the fights work at Hibbs.
Yep.
Like, so I mean, because how would the trading cards be worth anything if the characters only lasted a single fight?
No one has thought it that deeply, but that's exactly right. There is promotional materials and what do you call it? There's junk to sell, and if everyone only lasted one fight, you'd never be able to make the figurines and the stuffies and all that kind of stuff in fights like this. Right.
Okay, good. So, all right, I say okay. I'll tell you what. I too think that the AI brain will win because they always do. But I think that this is going to actually. It's going to end in the third round, like you say, but I believe it's not going to end. The alien is not going to be the winner. At least not directly. He's not going to land the finishing blow. I feel that something else will land the finishing blow also in this third round. And then I pull another little chunk of like, I don't know. It's like a broken piece of watch. It's like some kind of component out of a watch that I've been carrying around, and I place it on the table. And I'm just kind of hoping that maybe the peacekeepers won't realize that they probably cannot use this, but it looks shiny. And I know that they're a couple microprocessors short of a full motherboard.
You're exactly right. These guys, these bots can't tell what you've now put down on there, and they probably couldn't have tell if you'd done it the first time. But you've upped the ante. They're very, very excited.
Perfect.
The one bot who has put his mark down at, I think I did say 7, correct? It was 1, 3, and 7. The 7 bot says, "Hey, can I up my bid to get in on this?" And the number 3 guy goes, "You don't have anything worth going." And the number 7 guy, well, yeah, we'll call them 1, 3, and 7. Perfect. So 7 says, "Well, I mean, I do have that key card to the new mech facility," and your ears just perk up. You haven't heard anything about a new mech facility. Nothing like that even sounds like something that should exist around the Ironworks.
How do you have this? I ask, like, incredulously. Like, I doubt the validity, but also I'm surprised and impressed.
The robot kind of wiggles himself taller as if to seem mightier. Again, there are struts straining under the load of the hydraulics of being pushed on them, and it's definitely not doing him good to try and appear like he's any bigger. He kind of gestures broadly to the large open garage door, large closed garage door that is hidden clearly from the outside because you didn't see it. And he says, "I have good friends with Mother." And I think you can probably intuit that when he says Mother, he's actually referring to Firefly, which is very odd, even for her most loyal of subjects to refer to her as Mother. That seems pretty strange.
Yeah, I'm this information I file away as like very important new information that I feel like I could sell later.
So
here's our key card.
There's your key card that has now been put on the bets. This fight is definitely coming to a close. Number 7, you don't even understand what he was thinking, unless, again, he was totally blind. couldn't see what the kind of things that you were putting on top of that, but it was spare parts, and he hasn't had an upgrade in a decade, and he's definitely running on some very outdated sensor. So he is putting this on the pedestal, and number 3 is not upset that his cohort has put down this extra bid, because that's just more in the pool for him. And he says, all right, here's the new bets. I want you to tell me how it ends, and I'll tell you how I think it ends. And the closest one, as judged by these two dorks, wins.
All right. So as I said, your robot buddy is going to win. The alien, right? Is that what I said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Just making sure I said that. The alien's gonna lose, but our hero is not gonna land the killing blow. It's gonna be an outside source. I'm not saying what it is because I don't think that's fair. Because I mean I can't predict everything. It could be like a flying beer bottle. It could be something. But I know that alien is going down this round. But your hero is not going to bring him down.
And his armor, which he clearly uses to push the debris and snow around, kind of stick up a little bit higher. And he says, I say he's going to die by a left and a right, just like it always does. And you kind of realize that maybe he knows what's going on, but at the same time he doesn't understand why. So number 1 has decided to scooch himself off, and you actually don't even see or hear him anymore. I'm not actually sure where he went, but number 3 and you are leaning in close on the screen. On the screen, you can see a timer running in the corner.
How long do I have?
I'm going to say they have about a minute left in the 3rd round.
All right, I'm charging up my teleportation. By the way.
Okay, all right, I like it. So all these bots are leaned in real close, and they're leaned in so close they can't see anything happening around them. If you wanted to do something, you have about 1 minute to do it.
All right, I'm going to do it right now. I'm charged up, and I touch number 7. And looking at the monitor, I look at the space like 10 feet above the alien's head. And I'm going to try to teleport there.
All right, let's give me that hasty roll.
Aw, yeah.
Okay, I want you to do one more thing. I want you to roll me a sly. This might be important.
Bear.
Oh, all right. All right. So, both successes. You grab a hold of the corner of number 7. He doesn't even notice. He has no concept that you've gone. You've done anything.
Before we teleport, I want to whisper in his ear, I'm going to make you a hero.
Yeah. You whisper, I'm going to make you a hero. And he turns to look at you in as much confusion as a robot can muster. And you whoop out of existence. And you crack into existence inside of what I would describe as a 100-foot by 100-foot by 100-foot metal cage. There is, I want to say hundreds of people in the crowd, but that would be lying. There are probably 85 people in the crowd, maybe.
The TV makes it look like there's lots.
Yeah, from the perspective that the outside viewing made it look like those stands were full. All it was the fact that the war mech was punching and smashing his straight towards the bar, which is clearly right on the other side of where his camera is viewed. And everyone is gathered around the bar, even though there's seating around the entire stadium. whoomph into existence, and there is a spark that dims the lights just for a second. I'm going to assume you're going to try and oomph back really quickly. That's my assumption.
Well, I know I can't go back because I have to be able to see where I'm going. So I feel like this is an under pressure where I've basically got the robot like lined up right over top of the alien with the goal of squishing the alien with the robot. And
Okay.
I'm gonna have to like bamf somewhere that I can hopefully like quickly see the door, and I can bamf that direction, and then I'm gonna have to like get out of there.
All right. So you are going to be very hastily trying to make a departure. So I'm going to say you're probably trying to do it quickly, as opposed to accurately.
Yep.
You can see the door from where you popped into existence, and you are headed for that door. And as you do so, you open your eyes to the sound of crashing and yelling and cheering from all sides. And you're standing in the hallway to the bathroom. And there's a very, very large man there sitting there staring at you. And he's looking really confused. He stands about maybe 6.5 feet tall, but he's almost as wide as he is tall. He wears a pirate's hat and is covered in tattoos.
Are they firefly tattoos?
Sorry?
Are they firefly tattoos? Does he match the robots?
He does not. He does not match the robots.
They say things like mum and hearts and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, they are sappy biker tattoos.
Nice.
So
Not that bikers are sappy. Don't come after us.
you popped into existence right in front of him. He looks over your shoulder, looks at you, and I want you to give me a sly roll.
As I make the sly roll, well, I'll roll it and see what happens first. Then I'll say what
I'll roll it and see what happens. All right, you succeed.
All right, so I assume he's a bouncer or something, and I say I don't know what he really is, but this is my assumption. And I'm like, my cab has already got the meter running. I gotta go, and I just like push around him as fast as I can and just sprint towards the door.
Okay. He looks at you running. Looks back at the destruction that has reveled, and I'm going to say that as you're running it, you have time to look back and see that number 7 has cut this alien's carapace from top to bottom as he fell from his terrific height with his shield outstretched in an oh crap and tried to grab a hold of something. His outstretched arm it went like a knife through butter and cut straight down through the carapace of this alien titan, and it stands before you, a wobbly red jellied shape, waving kind of in the wind, not sure what happened. And you hear the man yell as he walks back behind the bar. All right, anybody who had round 3, come to the bar to collect your winnings. And now you can tell that not only was there illegal gambling on in this dark basement, but there's also illegal gambling happening right here in the facility. And who you had in fact met was probably either Argyle or Yargle. You're not 100% sure. You probably don't spend too much time there, and you didn't get around to it. They look fairly similar, except for one of them's a robot, but you can't remember which.
Yeah, and my character like is really into tea, and I feel like Hibbs is not a tea place.
No, absolutely not. Argyle and Yargle would probably laugh you out of the building if you'd ordered a tea. He doesn't seem to pursue you. You've dodged away from it. Where do you go from there?
I sprint back across the bookstore. I push into the door as fast as I can now that I know it's not locked, and I'm running straight back to that TV to collect my winnings. I really want that that card. My goal is to like scoop that card off the top of that TV and just keep moving.
So you run down into the basement, and if a robot had an equivalent of sitting with its mouth open, that is 100% what he is doing right now. He is mouth agape, as he has witnessed his partner in crime, number 7, cutting through this alien titan, like imagining your own best friend, taking to the streets and beating up John Cena at the first opportunity. Not only that, but beating him so badly that his clothes came off. And no one is 100% sure how to take it. The sounds of the cheering and booing from the stands are still very evident. Clearly, no one has taken a big anger towards what has happened. But you manage to walk up very neatly and pick up the minstrel key card, which is really is not only has the access codes to a facility, as he described it, the new mech facility, but you swipe that off the top. Do you grab the power cell?
I take the power cell, and I take my first component, but I'm going to leave behind the watch component as like a tip. And as a side note, I wish I'd been smart enough to stay at the bar and become that robot's agent, because I feel like we could have negotiated a sweet like merchandising contract.
Yeah, you can see that the gates have opened on the sides of the arena, and the alien is where he was expecting to go out of there on a stretcher, but of course, not be injured. And as it stands, he is butt naked, and he is covering his shame and trying to sneak out the opening as a crowd is rushing in to gather around this robot. You grab your components, you grab the power cell, you grab the key card, and number 3, who is again still just mesmerized there, doesn't say a word. He has never seen such a thing in all his years, and he may never again, but he has one tiny piece of consolation, and that it's his friend will now be fighting in the arena next week, and he is confident that he knows who he's going to bet on next week. So you make your escape from the facility. You have found a couple of things. I don't know how I actually give these to you.
If you right click on them, then it'll like make these little arrows, and you can shoot it over. Yay! I got it. Thank you.
There.
Perfect. And I can flip them over and admire their prop art. Nice. Nice. I have control. Okay, cool.
I don't know how. Oh, there we go.
Success.
All right.
So, just like a mechanical point of view now, again.
Sorry.
How do we interpret the completion of the goal? The Ironworks. How do you want to like say we did the thing?
I would say you succeeded. You've got a critical info from a contact. You didn't get it at the bar, but you got it at a similar facility that was connected to the same location. I only had one story beat, but there were 2 ways to go about it, and it went a little bit differently than I thought, but it was great.
That's always the goal.
So is that fair? I would say
yes.
That you have accomplished it because you found a secret, but it's not the secret that I necessarily was going to give you that way. But anyway.
No, I was just curious, but if it's critical info because of that card and learning about this new facility, or if I was going to have to use that card to disrupt some production. But I'm glad that we are going with the first spot. And I feel like, yes, this is excellent. Look at you being an awesome GM.
All right, so you take this card and this new power supply, which I'm sure is just entirely bonus for you at this point, and you kind of dance down the street. And I imagine your character's dancing involves some amount of teleporting with rhythmic movements. Can you tell me anything about what that would look like?
I cannot do the moonwalk, but what I do is I like stand in a pose that looks like the moonwalk, and I like teleport myself really short distances, so I'm like a flip book moving like I'm moonwalking.
All right.
Does that make sense? Can you imagine that in your brain? Perfect.
You make the movements through careful small teleportations and cause yourself to essentially moonwalk backward.
I don't know how I do that when I have to be able to see where I'm going to teleport, but
like you look down between your legs.
Okay.
You know,
yeah.
You're looking down between your legs. You're just jumping backwards like that microscopic. It's basically like watching a static electricity walk backwards. There's red thunder shooting out from you in every direction. People on the street kind of take steps away as you do this beautiful dance down the road.
And I only do this in like places where it's like either like it's like a scummy part of town where like people don't want to cause problems. I don't like do it in like, you know, a busy area full of like middle class nosy police calling people.
All right.
Just to clarify, and I know that's not important, but that's my limit.
So you make your way relatively quickly to the only building that this could possibly be connected to, which is the Meridian Tower, the tallest and only skyscraper in the city. There's luxury apartments. There's an upstairs mall. There is a possibly underground headquarters of something that might be in the basement. There are snipers, alarms, all that kind of fun, and there's just so many wonderful people that you can meet in their military and industrial garb as very high class people, are basically the only people who belong here. So as you're approaching this building, you have a very unique perspective of how to go in. My question is do you go up or do you go down?
I gotta be able to go where I can see. I really want to go to like where deliveries would be delivered to. So I imagine it probably like a sloping ramp that goes down towards like basement levels. And I want to see like how busy the deliveries are tonight. I want to see like are delivery trucks coming in and out? Are they like bringing like office paper and like brand new chairs, or is it pretty quiet?
You can see a lot of action down below. You can see quite a few people standing around the docks at the lower structure of the building, and there's basically a runner that runs down behind a building adjacent to it, making the slope less because the sheer depth at which the facility is being loaded is well below the pavement grade, let's say.
Okay.
And you can see down there that there is a whole squad. You can see a whole bunch of the Conclave captain and their Conclave troopers. And you would look at these people as they carry their beautiful energy weapons, their shimmering exosuits and barriers made of pure energy, and you think to yourself, gee, that looks like a terrible thing to be lifting all of those boxes with. And these guys are the moving crew. They are heavily armed and armored, but they are just moving boxes out of a truck and into the warehouse. It looks like they probably arrived in that same truck, and they are definitely going somewhere they're not supposed to be. They are looking in every direction. They did not notice you as you started to make your way forward. But you can see on the inside that there are dismantled mechs underneath garage door that is sitting open as these troops pile in.
So I quickly assume that the mechs for security and that these conclave troopers who are carrying these boxes are like breaking in. If I make that assumption, am I correct? Do I need to roll to see if that assumption is correct?
That sounds pretty sound to me.
Yeah. Okay. So the vehicle like is unmarked kind of thing, right?
The vehicle is an unmarked moving vehicle, and it is large. It looks like it is weighted down quite heavily. Even after these troopers have stepped out, they are unloading these boxes near the doorway, and more troopers inside. There are actually there's 5 of them total. I'm going to spend a couple more because I have so much.
You have a lot.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. So there are 5 total. They seem to be working with great purpose. Seem to be very focused. What do you do?
All right, Mike. I guess I have 2 more questions, and then I have a plan. Probably not a plan. I have an idea. First off, do I recognize these conclave troopers as being related to Denouement? Like, are they wearing some kind of insignia or some kind of uniform that tells me who they belong to?
You look at them, and they are definitely Ogrimesh's guys. Like, they are 100% her guys. And the way that they're working, gosh, they're pretty much in the thralls of it. And you can't see what they're unloading. They're focused on it.
Okay. And Meridian Tower this is where Ogrimesh lives?
This is where Ogrimesh lives, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And these are her troopers doing her work, but yet they destroyed mechs.
They destroyed mechs that were... They destroyed AI lifting bots and other mechanical people who were... There's about 3, you would guess, based on how much debris is by the door. None of the robotic workers bear any insignias on them.
Okay. And are all the vehicles parked like on the flat space, or are they parked like on the ramp leading down into it, or how are the vehicles kind of parked?
So the truck that they're unloading is backed up right to the loading dock.
Okay.
That is the only vehicle you see. You don't see a troop transport, and this vehicle that's backed up to the loading dock. It's very clear that the front seat would only fit a driver and a passenger, and there are at least 5. You can see 5 people.
Okay. I'm going to bamf onto the top of the loading truck on like the cube part where like they store the cargo portion of it, and I'm going to try to bamf some like lying down.
Okay.
So hopefully I'm not noticeable.
All right. Roll a sly roll just for the fun of it, and we'll see what happens.
Dice roll. Sly. I am very sly. It is my best quality.
Sounds like you do just fine. So, you appear on there, on top of the truck, and we'll say you know how to change your position, or maybe you laid down before you took the leap. You just kind of appear flat on the top of the truck. You don't make a noise as you land, really.
Just that little bit of hum. Okay. Now that I'm on the truck and I feel the cargo container, like, is it made of metal? Is it like a canvas stretched over like a wire frame? What am I lying on top of?
You are lying on top of what you would have assumed was a thin piece of tin, if you had to have guessed, looking at it. When you landed on the top of it, it is incredibly cold. It does not move a millimeter under your weight now pressed on the top of it. And you would hazard to guess that it's not tin under the tin. You're probably on top of something that's been built pretty strong.
Okay, so I'm not cutting through this. Now that I'm down here, are there any other open doors besides this loading door that the truck's backed up to?
You can see inside from your position, you can kind of look over the back of the truck but into the warehouse. And you can see that there is 2 exits. One is very lean and really where the stuff comes in and out of the building on a daily basis. And the other, it doesn't look misused, but you can see that any of the traffic to it, at least recently, has been dirt being disturbed. So there are footprints and tracks and what you would assume is like lifting trolleys and things like that have clearly moved back and forth from the store recently, but hadn't previously. And the conclave guards also seem to be stacking their boxes pretty close to that door.
Okay. From my height, can I see on the other side of those boxes? The far side of the boxes?
On the far side of the boxes, you can see. I guess is there a way you can do a look roll? I'm not sure if you can see it from your position. Just give me a bright roll, and I'll see what happens.
Okay.
So you can obviously see the lock on the very clean, well-used door is essentially it's a non-locking door. That door doesn't even have a way to close. But this one, as you peek around to look past the boxes, you can see that your key card is probably for that.
How convenient. I mean, it also makes total sense. Number 7 is definitely a carrier-arounder of things.
Yes, he is absolutely. You think about this now. He has totally worked on this dock on the sidelines to like get some like spare parts or spare change. He has helped push stuff around here.
All right.
You can also do one more thing. You can kind of intuit that he probably was not given that. He probably was not given that key.
Ah, interesting. All right, I'm going to bamf behind the boxes as best I can. I'm going to bamf to the far side of the boxes, and I'm going to watch and wait and kind of see, like, going to gauge when there's a time where, like, there's a gap in people delivering or dropping the boxes off. I'm hoping that no one will notice me.
So you do that, and no one notices you. And I'm going to give you something because you rolled so well on your sly several times. You've watched these guys performing this very mundane task as they carry these very heavy boxes out of the back of this truck. And these guys haven't said a word to each other. They haven't talked at all. The only person who has so much as looked around is that captain. The Conclave troopers are rank and file. They are doing their job perfect.
Okay. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget. Okay, I'm going to now slide up to that door, and I'm going to tap my key card to it.
All right, you tap your key card. So the joy of the minstrel key card is that when it's used, it is to unlock sound-activated locks. So minstrel key cards sing in entrance, and they are loud, let's say. And Firefly herself has chosen the sing-song passphrase for the card, and she is a big fan of opera. And this card begins to sing in what you can only describe as the perfect high note. There is no way that number 7 ever used this card. Because not only is it loud, you think that probably would overwhelm the circuits of a robot. What do you do?
Well, I'm committed now, so I'm grabbing the handle of that door and hoping that the song is over enough that it's unlocked the door.
So the song on the card finishes, and you open the door. I'm going to say, give me a quick roll.
Like, so it's hasty, right?
Or hasty, sorry, haste. All right, you are fast enough. As you look back and yank this door open, you flip around and see these boys piling in. No one moved except Conclave Captain, who started barreling towards you in his mechanized power exosuit. The other guys, the Conclave troopers, just kept doing their job as if they heard nothing.
Something is strange going on here.
And you have time to get inside and seal the door before he arrives at you, as you just did so darn well. So
is there
okay?
Is there a keypad on the other side of this door?
Yes, absolutely. You can
Does it
that if you like.
Is it sealed really well? Like, I guess what I'm asking, like, can liquid get through it? If I jam my Swiss Army knife into the edge of this like keypad thing, can I like pry it back and have to pour liquid inside?
Certainly, you can certainly try that. Give me a strength roll. I can't remember what it's called.
Tough, right? I think it's tough.
That's tough. Give me a tough roll.
Or I guess it's a rumble, which could be a tough or a hasty. But I mean, tough makes sense.
Yeah, we're gonna do tough for this one.
Oh man, it's my worst trait. And yet,
he's still good, but we'll get to that.
All right, so I want to I jam my Swiss Army knife in there. I move it there. I move it back, and or move the panel back enough. And I have this thermos of hot water that I like to make tea with, and I pour half the water down into it, hoping that it'll short circuit things and it won't work on either side now.
I like what you're doing, and I feel like given what you've done, that door isn't going to go anywhere. We're in a long corridor. It leads down into what is possibly the largest hole you've ever seen. We see here as the quarry. This quarry would lead you to believe that it is outside, but where we are right now, we are underneath the Meridian Tower, and this hole is massive. You see an area probably 3 kilometers across of open ground, with a spiraling well down into the earth. Lights are hung from the ceiling, as bright as the sun, shining down into this pit. The half of the structure is this well is covered by a what you would describe as a newly built metal floor. It probably encompasses at least 1 kilometer by 2 kilometer section of this rounded hole into the ground. And on it, you see hundreds of warriors, machine robots, enormous mechanical machines of various sizes and structures. You can see some workers down below From your vantage point right now, you are probably 150 feet above them, and can't necessarily tell if they're AI or humans. They're working what looks like a normal day down under the brilliant trillion candle lights that shine down on them. What do you see and what do you do?
I like that this is like underneath the tower. Like the tower is built here because they knew that there is something worth digging up.
Hmm?
Okay, so I see people working in the very bottom. I see some really bright lights above me. And I see a way to get down to the bottom of this mine.
You can certainly see that there is a large tram cart. Maybe didn't describe that the door that you went through was large enough that you could have driven a truck through it, but it is clearly not the primary access point to this room. This is more like the direct in and out from the Meridian Tower, and certainly is not how all of the structure that you see down below would have been built initially.
Okay. I mean, I'm really looking to make a buck. That's really my goal. I feel like these little tram carts are they like bringing stuff up from the bottom of the quarry.
They down low, down deep on the platform where they are constructing the mechs. You can certainly see a bright red glow, which I mean you're not new. You would know that this is clearly an Atma facility, and that they are not only piping it up, but they have access to open pools of it down below.
So I know that's valuable, and therefore I want it. Okay, so I'm going to look for a spot that is as close to the Atma well as possible, but also at least conspicuous place. So, like behind a rock or behind some machinery, somewhere where those people are not moving around.
All right, you can see. I'm gonna put this out because I have so many points to actually show these to you. So you can see these armored caravans down below. They are essentially the transports that are. I mean, they have weapons. I don't think that they've ever needed to fire them inside of this building, but they are hauling what I would call trailers of transparent uh, transparent containers filled with Atma that is being dragged up from the bottom, slowly but surely around the outer edges towards the mech facility. You can certainly get down to a point where these will be able to drive past you, but they are patrolling even the areas where you don't see people walking around.
Okay. All right. And as a total side note, how much does my character know and focused on the defeating a member of the Triptych? Is that like how goal oriented am I towards this at this point?
I don't know how much I want it to like push at you. Right now, I'll say that you're wise enough and smart enough to know ins and outs of what's going on. You can see it very obvious that you have someone building an army of mechs in the basement of what you assume to be the tower that held peace. The only thing where this is where the wealthy go. This is a dream of the people who live on the outskirts would be to someday spend even a night in the hotel kind of.
Mm-hmm.
There is a force of someone unloading something in the basement of the building above you who don't seem like they're supposed to be. You are caught between rock, that being literal magma of the earth, and a hard place, which is whatever is going on up there.
Okay. I'm very motivated to steal some Atma, and I'm very motivated to cover my tracks. And I think that those things can correspond well. All right, I want to. Are all of the armored caravans patrolling?
They are not patrolling. They are actually functioning as the transport of these enormous cylinders of Atma. And you know to yourself that if you were to get outside with one of these trailers, it's enough to live. Or you couldn't even calculate how long. You don't have an idea of what kind of value that would hold in the long term. But you know that you would live very happily and very excitedly for quite a while.
Okay. Looking out of the ground, it looks difficult. I'd like to. I'm going to bamf down onto one of these armored caravans that I see. Probably one of the ones that's in the very back, kind of like just got loaded. And
Right.
I'd like to kind of like get close to one of the doors of this device, like a man door or something.
Sure. So you go to make this transport. You've had a really good run today. Like, it's been excellent. I want you to roll me a tough. Actually, no, I want you to roll me a tough. This is. I'm just trying to think of what the correct wording is. I want you to roll survival. Is actually what I want you to roll.
Okay, so I could roll hasty or bright. No, not really. Am I trying to defy danger and survive?
No,
Or am I just seeing if I'm getting exhausted?
You are seeing if you are getting exhausted. You have made so many teleportations in very quick succession. You don't feel well. And you've only noticed it now because your heart climbed up real high when that guard started to run towards you and that key card started singing. And you don't feel good anymore. And you've just told me that you are going to attempt to make a teleportation down to a discretion point. I want to see what happens.
Man, I don't think I ever flipped my last card. Oh, I did.
I flipped it for you.
Oh, okay, I haven't read it yet. Shattered Step.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's going to be great.
I repeat teleport in place. That's very neat. I like that. Okay, but first I need to make my other roll. I need to see if I get tired. Do I have any additional modifiers to that?
It'll be your tough, so it'll be a negative.
Just a straight tough? Okay. Not that tired.
No, not that tired.
Not that tired.
All right.
You can also, this is a gameplay mechanic and not trying to tell you what to do, but you can also spend your, are they credits? I don't know what they're called. Your tokens?
They're tokens.
You can spend your tokens to do harm to me straight up. You just say like, hey, you're doing it, but you're tired. And just like spend it to do harm. Not like, I like this mechanical, see how tough I'm and resilient I am better. But I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, to be fair, that is probably what I should have done, but I
don't want to be mean. You want to give me a chance.
No, I don't want to be mean. Yeah, I don't want to hurt you too bad. Right. I've already said what I've said, and I meant what I meant.
Thanks, Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I bamfed down there.
You bamfed down there. So what do you do when you get there?
It looks to me, when I look at this picture of this armored caravan, that like the man door is like right on the tread. Is that how you interpret this?
You would step on the tread. If this machine was rolling past you and you stepped on the rear of the tread, you would roll up to the door and then off the front and be run over by the machine very quickly if you screw up.
Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, kind of got my scarf stuck and get squished. Yeah. All right. So I've bamfed, and I know that I need to immediately and quickly get that door open. So I grab the handle, and I'm reefing on this van door, and I'm just hoping that it's not locked.
You know what? these guys have been doing their job for so long down here. You don't lock the doors anymore. Yeah, the door opens.
Perfect. I like hop off the treads, hop in, and I slam the door, and I can do that kind of like in the movies where I like lean against the door and make a whoof, and like slide down, feeling like I just accomplished something, heroic and exhausting. And I'm also like now safe.
You are inside of the gun transport as opposed to being on the outside. As you look around, there is lots of places where there are clearly cubbies to store equipment in. It looks like probably 4 to 5 people would stand in this entryway at a given time. And this machine is massive. Like the pathway these things are treading is 50 feet across, and these things they don't have a ton of room between them and falling into the pit. So this is a relatively large room as you've stepped into it that has clearly mining equipment strewn about. It's not super clean, but it looks like it probably isn't a bunch of lazy people who are going to dump all their equipment when they get inside. And this is obviously that this one was traveling on its way up and out of the top of the structure, presumably towards where everyone was gathering at the top. But he's still well away from that, and there's still lots of opportunity to do something about that. And as it's traveling up, you can see to your left an open door that is magnetically held open so that it doesn't bang around as this machine rumbles along. Its path is well tread, so the movement of the machine is very calm and not excitable. You can see probably what looks like a cockpit directly ahead of you, up a flight of stairs, a flight of metal stairs, and to the right you can see what looks like a sitting area with an observation deck, and possibly where the weapons are controlled from, in a separate area than the driving cockpit. It looks to be pretty quiet in here. What do you do?
I want to go up to the cockpit and see if there's anybody driving, or see if it's automated, or if someone's like a physical human being is in there.
You walk. Okay.
Yep, good.
You can describe it actually.
No,
You
I don't
walk
need to
up to
describe
that.
it. I don't know what the answer is. So
Okay. You start stalking your way up towards the cockpit, and when you arrive, you see that there is clearly a robot driving this vehicle, an AI. He looks like they've removed the driver's seat, and he has been installed on the swivel point where the driver's seat would obviously have gone. And in order to drive, you would either have to sit in his lap, or you would have to um, remove him from it, in which case you'd have a very awkward sitting position on top of this steel mount. He has 2 arms, and he is controlling the vehicle with 2 levers. Clearly, each track is driven independently. Don't see any firing or weapons equipment in this area. This guy is clearly just a truck driver.
okay, I am going to pull out the power cell that I won in the fight, and I'm looking for some kind of way to plug this into the back of this automaton robot driver.
Okay,
Does he
sure.
have?
Roll.
So,
Yeah, you know what? He has been not hastily installed, but he was installed in a satisfactory way, and then they left him right where he was. Um, there are bare wires and connection points you can see. There is certainly somewhere that you could probably hook something up to, but I want you to roll a bright for me just in case.
all right.
You failed the roll. I want you to look at the power cell for a second,
Am I
as I
looking?
am.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Power cell might. There's this wonderful structure here. It says it might explode at the worst possible time. So what you've done is you've installed a power supply, which is probably contains some amount of foreign material that you yourself probably don't understand that much about, and you think to yourself, "I'm going to plug this in, and it's going to overload him," or something like that.
Maybe I just
Or
want
the
to help
opposite.
him out.
Yeah, or you were really trying to give him a real boost, a real shot in the dark. Well, you did, because he saw the sun, and so do you. Because that thing is detonating in your hands, inches away from your face.
My watches.
What? The watches on your left hand are vaporized. This was a poorly thought out plan. And you've reconsidered all your life choices as you watch the fireball envelop this control room. Um, you have disabled this vehicle's pilot. He didn't know you were coming. There is no klaxon or warning sounding, but the machine is still moving, as his arms are still resting on the controls, but because they now lack a body to be connected to, they have both pulled full reverse. And your truck. Do you know anything about driving trailers?
Well, you're going to steer the opposite way you want to go when you're backing up.
Yeah, and that's to avoid something called a jackknife. So a jackknife is this lovely thing when the trailer decides to start going in a direction, and you are going in the same direction you were going before, and you basically your trailer starts to turn until it is perpendicular to the direction of the vehicle, and then at some point your vehicle makes contact with your trailer, and normally that results in a little bit of bumper damage and a lot of cursing and people being generally upset. Have a trailer that is loaded with what you had to guess is probably a couple thousand units of Atma. I want you to give me a bright check. Wow. Has never been inside of a moving vehicle.
I have never needed to. I just teleport
you
everywhere.
you have no you know I shouldn't even have explained what jackknife was because he has never imagined the word jackknife. He does not have an idea of what um, has occurred as this vehicle is slowly rolling backwards. Um, what do you do? Because something's happening, it's not good, and I don't think you know how to fix it.
I'm going to try to fix it. I'm going to, I panic and my left hand is not working very well anymore, I'm assuming. So I'm going to,
It is very sore.
yeah. I'm going to throw my body into the levers and push them both forward because I understand forwards and backwards. And I feel like I can tell we're going backwards and I need to. So I think, I'll push this forward. And I shove the controls. Try to shove them both because they look like they're both doing something. There's hands on both of them.
Okay. You lean into those forward controls as best you can. You wince as your arm makes contact with the console again. Is the sharp burnt metal surrounding you is quite encumbersome for you to be able to do what you want. Um, and there's a sound. You're not entirely sure what it is at first. And you're pretty sure what it is next. What you hear is that you've made a valiant attempt to get this vehicle going the right way, so to speak. But the back of the trailer has just made contact with the tread on the left side tire, pushing the trailer off towards the open pit below.
Are we going to slide into the pit? Can I tell we're sliding down?
I'm just gonna put this on the table. We have a change of scenery.
Oh, good.
The scenery is now boy oh boy is it approaching fast. It's the bottom of the cave, and you were headed there very quickly. I'm gonna say that it's kind of tough to see out of the burnt glass in this room. What do you do?
That is an amazing question because I can't see. There's no way I'm going to get out the door in time. Alright, well, I don't want to die, so I'm going to try my best to rift walk, to teleport. Oh, hold on. How large of a thing can I teleport with me?
I'm going to say you can teleport something that is approximately the same dimensions that you can reach your arms. If you can put your arms on either side of it, you can teleport.
If I can give it a hug, I can take it with me?
Yeah, you don't have to be able to wrap your arms around it, but you kind of have to be able to contain it within your hands, and probably about that deep.
Okay, so that's not going to work. Alright, I'm going to try teleporting. Yeah, I'm going to try teleporting just out. Like, I'm in full-on panic mode, and I know I can't really see very well, but I'm going to try to teleport just out in general, and hope I do okay. So teleporting out, and hopefully to the side and not directly underneath the thing that's falling.
All right, we're gonna do a teleport. We're gonna roll haste. We're gonna roll hasty, and we're gonna roll it at a -1.
Eat that.
All right. You look at the window in front of you, and you can't see through it, and you are frantic. You look and you look and you look. There's nothing there, and then you lift your mask up because you've been wearing your mask this whole time. And unfortunately, the benefits of your mask hiding your identity and protecting you and empowering you don't necessarily outweigh the restriction that it has on your peripheral vision. As you lift up your mask, you look to your right and you notice the observation and firing deck for the weapons off to your right, and you can see out that window just fine. And you look out that window and you can see the tunnel rolling past. And you teleport. Tell me what happened.
Alright, so I teleport out, and I can see some kind of ground. Like I'm not teleporting like into open space.
You are teleporting onto what I would presume is one of the I can't think of the word now. The circles that travel around the tavern down to what you would assume is the Atma.
Alright, so I teleport there, and then I'm gonna like run as close to the wall just in case this hauler like ignites the Atma and causing an explosion. So I'm just like, hopefully it'll be against the wall and it'll be far enough away from any like explosion that it'll be okay. I'm gonna start there.
You successfully do that.
Is the machine still falling? Has it exploded or hit the ground yet?
I'm gonna give you one more action before it hits the bottom.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'm going to shatter step because my range is not limited, and my goal is to get all the way to the top of this deep cave. Yeah. So I'm hoping I roll a 7. My range is not limited, and I can get all the way back to the beginning of this place, feeling very dejected. I lost my poker winnings or my gambling winnings, and I have no Atma currently. So that's my goal. Right. That's what I try to do.
Go ahead.
Barely make it.
You barely make it. Okay. You charge up with all the might that you can possibly muster. And you focus really hard up to the side. Now, do you think you want to go towards? Let's just say this. Let's say that the door you entered in is on the north side of this cavern. The down in the tunnel or down in the pit, running from northeast to southeast, is this mech construction facility, and on the south side there is an incredibly large door, which you would have to assume it opens up at the base of the tower somewhere. Do you jump towards the large door or the tiny door?
Well, now that you give me a choice, I think I should go towards the large door because I remembered that I've jammed the little door, and so I better not try to go back the way I came.
I mean, I didn't want to stick you there, but you could have went there.
Well, if you hadn't
Right.
said anything, I probably would have.
Where would the fun not be? You make it up there, and I'm gonna say that there was some amount of hustle and bustle that has been caused by the small sound of an explosion, and then the slow car wreck that was the trailer sliding off the edge of the balcony. But that has not held the attention nearly as much as the other explosion sound that you did hear as you were inside of the balcony of the small door being blown open in such a way that not only is the area that the door was not in no longer there, but that whole side of the building seems to have taken a big punching hole. And down below you, you can see mechs on this giant silver platform beginning to glow red as Atma runs through their veins, charging up. You see a man riding on top of a war mech with glowing power lines feeding into what you would assume to be giant weapons of destruction, heading towards the door frantically, not even noticing the very slow, precarious tinking of a trailer sliding down below. And as you arrive at the door to the outside, no one is looking in your direction. So you have an opportunity to head towards this big gate. There are certainly a man gate on the left and the right of it. Currently, they are unmanned as what looks like soldiers or AI. You can't tell from this distance. Have run towards the mechs and look like they're heading off a charge from the other side.
So it
What
seems
do you
like
do?
it feels like I'm in the middle of a coup or some kind of power struggle, and I don't want any part of this. I am running straight toward the away from the mechs and towards these little empty man doors.
So you arrive at the man door, and you manage to wrestle it open relatively easily because you're inside, and of course this door is meant to keep people out from the outside. You crack the door open, you pop out, you do a quick look around, and as you stand in the gap of this tiny door, you hear a noise that you can't describe. And like all the guns in the world went off, and they went off right beside you. The ground below your feet feels like it jumps about 7 or 8 feet into the air. And you are literally tossed into the air by this shockwave. What do you do?
Do I see is there like freedom in front of me?
There is open streets in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
There is a financial district off to the right. It is relatively small, but it clearly supports all of the taxation and law keeping of this area. Off to your left, down further to the southwest, you can see strip malls and small mingling areas. Far off in the distance, you can probably see to the south the ironworks, just on the edges of your imagination as far as your eye can see. You're currently in the air, observing all of these things around you.
So observant. I don't think I have time to shatter step, which would be awesome to be like below instead of saying shockwave. So I'm going to try to do a quick departure, a rift walk, and I'm going to get as far down the street as I can go.
Okay. Roll me a hasty then. I'm going to say you charge up before this teleportation. You may have been charging it before. All right, perfect. So, you do everything in your power to get away from this noise, this concussive force. You succeed in teleporting. You don't know where you are. You are still spinning and spiraling and falling. And below you, all you can see is the Meridian Tower, as if you were looking at it maybe a mile, maybe 2 miles. You definitely stepped further with that than you have almost any other time. And you're still falling. And boy, oh boy, do you feel sick. And you can't tell if that sickness in your gut is because you've just been blown up, or if it was because you are witnessing this terrible atrocity as the Meridian Tower disappears and a fountain of red hot energy bursts into the sky, lighting everything around you like it was day. You land in a disheveled heap on the outskirts of town. The kinetic force of the blast that destroyed the Meridian Tower, combined with your spectacular teleportation, threw you like a portal. GLaDOS would be a portal moment that GLaDOS would be proud of, off into the distance, and you sit with your cracked container of tea, peeking into the snow around you, and witness what is essentially the end of an era, as Gilgamesh's home is annihilated, and a mech facility hidden in the basement is destroyed. You did your task and have absolutely wiped out both members and proxy members of the Triptych. But it came at a terrible cost.
I'm conflicted if my character cares, but, well, probably cares a little bit.
I don't think you intended any of this.
No, and that's the thing, is like, I might have been a slight cog in like the events of this occurring, but this things would have occurred badly anyway. They just occurred more badly due to my bumbling.
There was absolutely a coup happening, and you totally have stopped that.
So I'm a hero for stopping the coup, and I'm a monster for also like knocking over those in charge. So I mean, it's kind of a wash.
Yeah, you're kind of a net zero, right? You
Yeah.
wiped out the entire upper class, also all of their pomp and position at the same time. Like you have simultaneously made the people in power and everything that gave them power disappear overnight.
I kind of Indra scratches his head and he starts to think, like, I wonder if all those warnings about punching holes in the rift and the damage it would do had nothing to do with me actually causing harm to myself, but more about harm to all those around me. Almost like, have I inadvertently done this? Have I inadvertently cursed myself? And like, do I like, does bad luck follow me like an aura?
And you hear behind you in a very humbly tone, almost impossible to discern from the howling winds of the blast. I told you to stop a long time.
I pick up my thermos that's leaking tea everywhere, and I look inside, and it's empty. And then I kind of like turn into the wind, and I lower my eyes a little bit and say like, was that I can't say it didn't try to warn me. Unfortunately, I can't also say that I'm entirely sorry.
You are still so weak. And a large light reaches out of the blistering wind, almost as if in a show of friendship. Maybe with a little bit of sadness in the motion. I'm going to say that it scoops your tired body up and lifts you and carries you out of the blustering wind and cold, and begin your next journey.
I hope that the place we go to next, that its time zone is on a watch in my right hand.
I'm going to tell you that none of your watches are spinning at this point.
No! This is the first thing to really upset him. And that's how you end a story full of gravitas.
Oh dear. All right. Well, I can honestly tell you it didn't go how I thought it was going to go at any point. I had fun. Did you have fun?
Yeah, this is an enjoyable little system.
I feel like I did not necessarily do a wonderful job incorporating your character as well as I would have liked to hope to. It was a very unique character to pick.
I think parts of it came in. Like, I mean, at the end, we tied in this Titan that's following me. We managed to get some of the tea in there. We never really brought up the poison, but I mean, that wasn't really. We didn't bring it up that much, so I mean, it doesn't really relevant to to our character. Like, it was on the card, but it wasn't in our version.
I feel like there was an expediency in which you did everything. And maybe that's a sign of your life, is that everything happens so quickly, and it goes by so fast that yes, poison does take its toll, but you get a lot done in a day when you can teleport.
Yeah, I mean, the only time we could have used it is when we're seeing I'm getting exhausted. I wonder if maybe it wasn't exhaustion. Maybe it was the poison starting to seep in.
That was what I was trying to give time for, but it just came out wrong. I misspoke of how I was trying to interpret that tiredness roll.
Oh man, yeah, it's a fun system. I still can't get around burning through the tokens as fast as you earn them.
Oh my gosh, I have 20 tokens, and I really tried hard to use them.
And like you spent them on like the twists and stuff. Like you actually used the cost, right? And it came off, and when you put the mechs, and so yeah. But also, don't forget this game's supposed to play in an hour, and this is we've played for 2.5 hours again.
Yep.
So I wonder if that's also part of it. Is like normally there's less happening.
I feel like I might have wanted to throw more specific things at you, but I was trying to use what they give us as far as creatures and stuff. I think I could have come up within my head some things that would have been worth spending points on.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wanted to stay within the balance of the system and use what they gave us, at least right now, this being my first time.
Yeah, because like there is a whole set of cards that you can create your own items from. They're just those blank A, B, C, D, E cards, and they can be whatever you want. And then that could have been a way you could like bring in what you want and spend tokens to play them. But really, like the token system, like I get why it's there, and I think it's a great system. I don't think we needed it to enjoy ourselves. And if that's like us modding or breaking the rule set, I think it's worth it for our own enjoyment.
Yes, it did feel a little awkward trying to spend them and trying to remember to use them up. Like it's like, oh, you should never have more than like three or five or something like that. And I'm like, I'm climbing up to 10, and I'm spending these like four at a time. Like I'm doing everything I can.
Yeah.
Thought that this Northern Lights Festival thing would have been a very funny comment that maybe the people of the city came around to watch the new Northern Lights that have now occurred.
It's just like a
I
big red
really
glow
didn't.
of the business district of the city.
Yeah, it burning in a entirely vertical pillar of fire and destruction. Literally spiraling out into colors across the sky in every direction as far as the eye can see. Um, but the I didn't expect you to blow up the building.
See, my goal
I
was to like drive the Atma up to the top and then like hopefully put on autopilot or something and then like shoot my cannons down to like blow the Atma up.
only failed like two rolls, and the rolls were, do I know how to pilot a car? It was one of them, and the other one was, do I know how to overload this robot without detonating the
See,
bomb in my
see, it
hand?
did what I wanted to do, just not at the time I wanted to do it. Like both those things actually did exactly what I wanted. It's just not how I wanted to do it. It
Yeah, you
was
could have done that in a different way, or with different roles that would have ended very like you would have gotten away with an entire truck full of Atma and essentially been able to live off it for the rest of your life. You wouldn't have had to be concerned about the price of medicine or anything like that. You
yeah.
would have been able to help people in your community or people you like uh, with the wealth of it, and you probably would have encountered some danger also coming into that much Atma and therefore money.
Yeah.
Um, and you totally could have detonated it with by pushing one of the mechs in, or by making one of the mechs, which were armed to the teeth, fire down into the core. Um, I just didn't expect the trailer to go so badly. But I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I see vehicles every day where like some guy's like, I know what I'm doing, and like 30 minutes later, he's $3,000 into bumpers and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, what would happen if like you were driving essentially a tank that was carrying what is basically the most explosive and highly reactive fuel source on the planet in a storage tank that probably isn't a great idea. Like it was a whole collection of events that just paid off very well for me, I guess. I'm glad you lived.
I was torn if I was going to be honest. I think you were generous to allow it. Yet I'm glad my character did.
I felt like you've learned a really important lesson, and your comment, especially at the end there. Um, I thought about having that guy sneak up on you and being like, you know, this is like where we're gonna have our final battle, and kind of, actually have it out for you because you're so weakened at that point. But I imagined your character saying out loud, "I wonder if all these things about punching holes in space isn't worrying about hurting me, but it's worrying about hurting everything." Like understanding for a moment that maybe the world doesn't have to worry about me, or maybe I don't have to worry about the world, and the world has to worry about me.
I think it's an interesting character. Like I could see taking this character forward into another location with another story.
Hmm.
Like I mean, you could do this with any of them, obviously, but I feel like the way we crafted it, like I feel like there could be more if we ever wanted to return to that.
All right. Well,
which is neat.
is there anything you want to reflect on right now, or do we want to just talk about stuff later as we
Yeah, no,
relax?
I think we're good. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I really had that was really pressing. I don't think so. I enjoyed it. You did a good job.
Just so you know, the two guys who were fighting in the arena
Mm-hmm.
are actually playable characters. If you had picked one of those two characters, you would have actually started in the arena. You would have actually been in the fight.
So you do so much planning for this game. You've put so
Yeah,
much effort into thinking this through.
there was a war mech with a satellite that has crashed on their back, and they're a two-person unit that are a team, and there is a large hulking alien titan. He's a pretty friendly guy after he shook off the mind control effect that the moon people had on him, and they were in the fight, and they're in it for fun. Like, they make money. This is how they live and survive day to day, and the bar scene would have played out a little bit differently. I just thought it was fun. I did not expect you to interfere in the fight.
I was so excited to do it. I was like, I wonder if I'll teleport by seeing things on a computer screen. Because it opens up the character in a totally different way. But I was like,
yeah, absolutely, it's brilliant. And you made a great point, which is that in my head, I'm like, oh, he'll just teleport back. And you're like, but I can't teleport back. And I'm like, of course you can't, because you only can get here because you're viewing inside the stadium.
yeah.
And I thought that was great. That was a wonderful thing. I also, not only did you interfere, but you interfered by grabbing Seven and, and using him as a projectile weapon, which, like that throws a whole other thing in. Like, these guys, they're smashing each other, but like, they know where to hit each other to make the armor chunks fall off. Like, they know what they're doing, and you dismantled a man with a what is essentially a snowplow. Like,
I just, you know what it is? I felt so bad for those three robots. Like, it's like, you've seen better days. Like, you have nothing going for yourselves, and like, your lives are clearly miserable. And I felt like maybe I can, like, if he survives the impact, like, maybe this will like put him on a whole new lease on life, and he'll like be all like re-energized. And yeah, that was my thinking behind it.
if you had stayed in the building, you made a great comment earlier about how you understand that you don't sell like merchandise and stuff with a bunch of dead people. You sell merchandise, living things. And if you had stayed in there, you made that comment earlier, I would have had a booth in the stands that would have been 3D printing models of Seven. Of Seven slicing through, and like, there would have been like 3 or 4 diorama models, including Seven, available for purchase on the way out the doors.
It would, yeah. It's there's so many things you could play with and build on. Because I was saying the same thing. Is like, I would love to see like their merch booth. But obviously, we seem to put that first scene like long in the tooth. Like, we really focus on that first scene. I was very impressed how quickly you managed to move through scene 2.
I was very nervous because we spent like an hour on that first scene. It was like, oh,
We did that last time too. But
I know,
like,
totally.
some of our favorite things from the last one also happened in that first scene.
Can I tell you a secret about the bookstore?
Okay, go ahead.
You know what was in the fishbowl?
I have no idea.
Clark's thumb. It's literally a thumb with a fish's tail mounted on the back of it.
Did he say like a nasty paper cut one day when flipping through a book and he just threw it in the...
No, it's Clark's thumb, and it has a genetically modified fish tail that's been added to it, and it's friendly. It can't see you. It can't really see you, but it can perceive you. And if you'd given it some food, which I don't know how it actually consumes. I didn't think that far about it, but it would have pushed on the button that opened the door at the back. For no reason. Like it was totally like a dog. Like it's not smart or anything like that. I described it as it swims like a goldfish doesn't. Like it's a very unique and dumb thing, and it would have totally opened the door for anyone who had walked in the door. But no one has, and no one comes into the bookstore.
It's
into Carcassonne.
I was very jerkish in my role as a player to like totally ignore something that you're trying to like set up and put effort into. And it happens in every RPG. Like there's always things like the GM's like, "Hey guys, here's the big flashing arrow. Like come over here." And then it's almost like, "No, I don't want to do the thing you want me to do."
Only if you had interacted with that would you have been going through the merchandising districts or whatever later in the game, and you would have found a store called Kark's Other Thumb, and there would have been a guy in there who had a cybernetic thumb on one of his hands, and clearly he's Kark.
That'd been funny.
And he runs a bait, tackle, and gun store.
Of course.
The thumb is, it's its own person. It likes books, and it does what it loves.
It was fun. I enjoyed ripping the door off with my teleport. I did a couple times.
I thought that was beautiful. I'm like, that's brilliant. I'm like, how much can he teleport? I'm like, well, he can teleport an object about his size. And then I'm like, how big is this door? Well, the door's a lot bigger than that, but at the same time, I'm like, you could probably get your hands on either side of the door. And Kark uses this door, and he's a human-sized man. Like, he's not enormous or anything. He's like a 6 foot tall dude. So, yeah, it was like, I'm like, yeah, that he could totally do that. He can port something like nothing.
That's funny. The last thing I guess I will say on this is that, again, like, I love how this RPG deck is like, hey, don't need a plan. Deal out some cards. Start playing. Build a story. And you're like, I'm going to flesh out this whole world and all these places before we start. And, yeah.
We only got to use like 2 of them.
But, it's all the world building that you do that, like, it helps with the rest of the story and feeling lived in on your own side of it, so you're comfortable with it, right? So, yeah.
I was glad you were able to meet Hargle, and I appreciate that you actually said the whole name of Hibbs a couple of times.
I didn't think I could do it, and then I was like, because I wrote Hargle, Yargle, and then I was like, I don't know what he said after that. But then I was like, Clued, and I was like, okay, I think I remember how this goes. And
Hargle, Yargles, Bargles, and Snargles. Bargles and Snargle, which is, it's a pub and a bar and a fighting arena. So it's Hargle was a large, thick biker type man, but dressed as a pirate in all the garb that would make Redbeard proud. And Yargle is a robot dressed in a black leather apron and oiled up way too much.
Right, well, why don't we wrap this up here then? And
all right.
Yeah. I quite enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.